Family-owned Gig Harbor Brewing has been making delicious, easy-drinking beers since 2015. Come by one of our tap rooms, the Harbor Tap Room along the waterfront in Gig Harbor, or our Tacoma Tap Room and Brewery on South Tacoma Way in Tacoma. Visit the tap rooms, mention the code word GIGLY, and we'll take $1 off your first pint. For the most up-to-date taproom info, please Google Gig Harbor Brewing or find us on Facebook and Instagram. This is Gig Harbor Brewing founder John Fosberg, and I'll see you in the tap rooms.
I remember that time when we had our last fight. Words were said out of line. They were your words, not mine. Do you ever look back and think about all the things you could have said? Replay them over again inside your head. This is the Revisionary Podcast. Stories of all we would have done in the past. This is the Revisionary Podcast with your host, Juan Carlos. The Revisionary Podcast.
Hey, what's up? This is Tim Dowling, writer of the Average Citizen blog and co-host of the new Average Citizen podcast. What is Average Citizen? Well, it's you, me, and everyone in between. We're all feeling a little overwhelmed and anxious at the state of our country right now. So join me and my co-host Tom Creighton as we research, discuss, debate, and explore some bigger pictures about America's future and the world. We're all in this together. Find us on the Chatter Network and at avgcitizen.com.
This is the Revisionary Podcast. Stories of
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Revisionary Podcast. And as always, I'm your host, Juan Carlos. First and foremost, I want to wish you all a happy new year. I hope that you were able to see family and, were able to stay safe. And also, I hope that a lot of you are feeling well and doing well. I know that this Omicron variant is going out there and it's just hitting people hard. So I really hope that all of you listeners out there, all of you revisionaries, and really just anyone in general, that you guys are doing well and that you're feeling well. This particular episode is a little fun for me because I'm actually on the road, so I do apologize if you hear any ambient sound. I'm currently in New York City, and it's nice to be back in New York. It's home. I love being in New York, but you can't always control environments as well when you're on the road as you can when you're filming out of your home studio. So there's a little bit of that. If this is your first time listening to the Revisionary Podcast, the way it works is we bring on guests, usually comedians, who tell a nonfiction story about their lives in which they wish things had gone a little bit differently. Afterwards, I give them an opportunity to tell the same exact story, except the second time, they can change any fact or details that they would like about the story. This week, I'm actually really excited. I know I say that a lot. But we have Sam Miller joining us on the podcast. So just a little bit about Sam. He is originally from the state of Washington, and he made a lot of noise this year because he participated in the Seattle International Comedy Competition. And I believe he came in second place overall, which is a huge deal because it's a big comedy festival. Like, a lot of people apply from all over, and it's actually really hard to get into. And he was able to do it and dominate. It's crazy just watching how his life has progressed since doing the competition. I spoke to him recently and he said he's been touring and or he was about to tour or something like that. So I'm really excited to see what comes of it and see how his career continues to progress. I'm just, as a fan of comedy, it's always nice to see, those around you succeed and moving up to the next level. So that's been really fun. And honestly, I'm excited that we have an opportunity to sit down and get him on the phone. So I won't waste any of your time. Let's see if we can go ahead and get Sam on the line.
Hello.
Oh, hey, Sam, how are you?
I'm good, Juan Carlos. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How have you been?
I am okay. I am drinking coffee, and I'm trying to get my feet warm because my feet got cold earlier.
I see. Well, first and foremost, I want to say thank you very much for joining us on the Revisionary Podcast.
Thank you. I am fat, and I'm big, and I think sometimes my body forgets to warm up my feet because it's so busy trying to keep all the other parts of me warm because I'm massive.
I see. Is this a circulation problem we're discussing here?
I don't know. I feel like I have good circulation. I do. I feel like for a man as big as myself that I am fairly healthy. Every morning I wake up and I eat an apple, a banana, and an orange. And yeah, I heard all the fruits are good for you, so I just eat one of each, and then I just eat French fries the rest of the day.
That sounds like a good plan to me. I'm a pineapple guy myself. I love eating pineapples and mangoes. Yeah, I like the sweet fruits. They like juicy sweet fruits. Yeah, you know what? That was weird. I don't know why I said that. It's true. I do sometimes supplement meals with pineapples and mangoes, but I don't know. That was a weird thing to share.
Yeah.
So, what have you been up to, Sam?
I have been doing stand-up comedy quite a lot, which is good because it's a thing that I like to do.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing it enough to attempt to make it my job, and I have had some success, some failure, but I am managing to tread water right now. So I'm not losing money, and not losing money as a professional stand-up comedian in the time of COVID is a win. So I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing a big tour coming up, going down to the Bay Area. Mostly I stay in the Northwest, so it's
Sure.
a big deal to me. So I'm excited.
No, that's pretty cool. And I know that you've just had an exciting run of it. You participated in last year's Seattle International Comedy, right? Comedy competition.
Yeah,
Sick.
the Seattle International Comedy Competition.
Yeah. You did pretty well.
It's a 4-week competition with you start out with 32 comedians, like over 200 people apply. It's hard to get in. And then I managed to take second place, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. So I have a story for you, actually. So true story. So my wife's been trying to encourage me to go out and make friends, right? So I've been doing this thing where sometimes I meet people on the internet and then I'll go out and hang out with them just to try to make friends. It's just something that I actively do. Anywho, so I had posted something about trying to go to a comedy show months ago. No one responded, and fast forward 3 months later, someone gets back to me. They're like, "Hey, I would love to go to a comedy show." And I was like, "All right, why don't you pick the club and you pick the show?" So they did, and I met up with her. Right, so we're sitting at the club in the back, in one of the booths, having a conversation, and she starts to mention to me how she went to the Seattle International Comedy, Festival, right? The competition, right?
Yeah.
And she starts fangirling, and she goes, "But I can't remember the guy's name. But I know he didn't win. He came in second." And I was just like, I know exactly what you're talking about. She was hardcore fangirling over you, bro.
That's dope. Yeah, dude, I think I do comedy the right way, and I think I do it for the right reasons. And I respect the art form, and I try to put good energy out there. And I usually get good energy back. And sometimes I put bad energy out there, and then I definitely get bad energy back. But usually good energy. So
it's funny because you just I don't know, the way you come across is you just come across as this just really nice guy. You know what I mean? And I've never received any bad energy being around you.
I am capable of horrible things. However, I have not done horrible things in quite a long time. I've done some bad stuff. I mean, I don't know. I think sometimes we put it out there I think generally I'm a good person, but I question anybody who thinks they're a good person all the time. That's probably not a good person.
No. Look, we all have flaws and we all make mistakes, right?
Yeah.
I think I do think a huge part of growth, right, is identifying your toxic traits and trying to work on them and taking steps forward to correct them, no matter how big or small that they are. So
yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you.
No, go ahead.
When also realizing that our ish does stink. You know what I'm saying? I remember one day I got drunk, blacked out drunk, and I've been sober a long time now, but I used to drink a lot, and I threw up on myself, and then I woke up out in the woods, and I was hanging out with my friend Bubba all day. I know this sounds like some real redneck stuff. But,
I'm not judging.
Around in Bubba's truck all day. I was like, Bubba, you stink like puke, bro. Like, God, like, you got a problem, bro. You smell like vomit bad. Like, all day long, I was like, why is there all this, like, I thought there was, like, sap in my hair. But I didn't realize that I threw up on myself. And I stunk like vomit all day. And then I talked to some friends of mine, and they were like, bro, we saw you on Thursday, and you just stunk like puke really bad. And like, we didn't want to tell you.
So what I'm learning here is out of all your friends, you're the best one because you at least told Bubba when you thought he smelled bad. They let you walk around smelling bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, Bubba might have puked on himself too. I don't know. Actually, he didn't. I should talk to him about this. He's a good guy. We're still friends.
How did you get puke in your hair?
I don't know. Maybe I was upside down.
Fair enough. All right.
Dude, I'm blacked out, man. You're asking like you might as well ask this guy on the street who did who, what. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's fair. See, I had a buddy who had a rule, right? And I'm not going to say his name because well, let's call him Roy because Roy is not his name. But so he had this rule, and he would invoke it after a night out. He'd call it Roy's rule, and the rule essentially was that if he blacked out at any point throughout the night, we were forbidden to tell him anything that occurred after he blacked out. So anything he did, anything that happened, we could not tell him. And I personally think that that's a great rule. Yeah, I am actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I chose not to tell him anything. What happened?
What's his name?
Well, his fake name that I gave him now is Roy. I'll tell you his real name another time.
Well, I think fake Roy has real alcoholism.
Well, actually, no, he definitely did.
Yeah, fake Roy is avoiding actual accountability. That's such a bold move, though, to be like, listen, like, I'm going to black out, but no matter what happens, like, you can't tell me what I do.
Well, I mean, I used to have a rule, too, when I was younger. The rule was cut me off after 12 shots. Like, that was my maximum. Like, if I hit that, please cut me off immediately. Do not let me purchase another drink.
That's a lot. You're not the biggest fella around there, Juan Carlos. That's a lot of big.
Yeah, no, I can't drink like that anymore. But back in my early 20s, it was I could throw them back. You know, I had a bit of a tolerance back then. But anywho, let's go ahead. Let's jump right into this. Sam, the stage is yours. Go ahead and tell us your story.
Oh, okay. This story took place in 2007. I was working for the Forest Service. I was a wildland firefighter. The fire season had ended. And it was opening day of hunting season, which is a big deal in north central Washington. I was in a town called Republic at the time, and which is a mountain town in north central Washington. It's very, very rustic. It's like a gold mining town. But anyway, opening day of hunting season is a big deal. A lot of people come out and drink. I was at a bar. I had worked that day. We were at the end of the fire season. There's nothing burning. It had already snowed. So there's nothing burning, and we're just kind of like wasting time till the end of till we get laid off for the 6 months. And I'm hanging out with my friend Daryl. Daryl was from Yakima. Daryl was a very weird individual.
I mean, that's half of Yakima.
Yeah. He was a strange guy. We were good friends, though. We were real close. He was like a country guy, but a good dude. We got along really well. Sometimes I can kind of butt heads with rednecks a little bit, but he was a good dude.
Understood.
Me and Daryl were out drinking at the bar. Opening day of hunting season, so it's crazy in there. I was being a real jerk, and I was drinking on his tab because I didn't have any money.
Mm-hmm.
And I was buying people drinks on his tab.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I was being a jerk, but I didn't care. And also, honestly, we both had a lot of money at that time in the bank because at the end of the fire season, that's what happens. You make a lot of money during the summer and you can't spend it because you're out in the woods fighting fire for weeks at a time.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're at the bar drinking, being an idiot. And I hate the beginning of these stories because there's so many stories that begin like that. Oh, we're at the bar, we're drunk. But don't worry, it gets weird.
All right.
Daryl, all of a sudden I hear from the corner of the bar, he goes, Sam, you got to feel this. And I was like, feel what? Like, honestly, like I really wanted to feel something. I was pretty bored. And he goes, no, check this out. And I looked in the corner of the bar and Daryl was getting his finger sucked by this girl in the back of the bar.
What?
Yeah. This girl was sucking his finger. And he was like, you're not going to believe this. You got to feel this. And she was like, come here, I'll show you. And then, so she grabbed my finger and put it in her mouth. And she was like, she kind of pressed on my finger with her tongue and pressed my finger up into the roof of her mouth. And in the roof of her mouth, she had like a tooth on like the roof of her mouth.
Whoa, that's weird.
Yeah, she was like, isn't that crazy? And I was like, yeah, that's crazy. And I was looking at her. And Daryl, I don't know what the hell Daryl was doing, but I don't know. I started talking to her. We kind of hit it off. Obviously, like she liked the party, and it was like I don't know what Daryl was doing, but I started talking to her, and I was drinking. And I was honestly probably buying her drinks on Daryl's tab, and then we hit it off. And like I had been in the woods a long time, and I had already at that point in my life, like I had been through a lot of stuff. I'd been homeless. I'd been locked up, all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And a woman is a beautiful thing. And sometimes they're more beautiful than other times, especially if you've been out in the woods a long time, So, and she was really cool. When like I said, we hit it off and we're drinking and she goes, hey, what do you say we get out of here? And that's about the last thing I remember. Until the next part that I remember. I remember leaving with her a little bit. And I remember being in a car a little bit. And I know, so we left the bar and we went out to the car. And she was a native gal. She was, there's a big reservation out there, the Colville Nation. Big reservation out there. And I knew we were on the reservation. And I remember getting to this, like, we went down this driveway off the highway, and there was, like, a mobile home. And, a lot of times you see mobile homes, and they're in, like, a trailer park. But this was, like, a mobile home just kind of by itself out in the woods with, like, one light and, like, a car. Pretty spooky, honestly. And we get there, and I was like, oh, are we here? And I remember kind of getting out, and I started getting excited. I was like, oh, man, like, here we go. It's fucking go time. Yeah. And she goes, hey, I'll be right back. I got to go grab something, right? And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, we're just here to pick something up.
Right.
And so she gets out of the car, and I remember all this. She goes inside. And she was probably only in there like maybe 10, 15 seconds. And then a big dude comes out. And then two more big dudes come out. And the last two dudes that came out all had like shotguns.
What the heck?
So I get out of the car. And they're probably only 15, 20 feet away from me. And, I'm always asked questions like, what's up? And they were just like, you shouldn't have came out here. And I was like, yeah, I regret it right now in a major way coming out here. And they were like, what do you got? And I was like, oh, okay, like they're robbing me. Like this is happening. So, and I had been robbed before a couple times and been robbed at gunpoint before, actually. But but I knew the other guy, when I got robbed before, I knew he wasn't going to shoot me. This guy was like, because, I was way out there, man. Like, I'm out in this reservation. Like, I couldn't see. All I could see was that one mobile home, and there was nobody else around. And so I gave him. It's funny. I remember I had $37, man. That's what I had in my wallet, and
Right.
that's what I gave him. And I gave him that $37, and he said, "Turn around." And I turned around, and I thought that was it. And this is where it gets kind of sad for a minute.
Sure.
At that point in my life, like things had gone so bad for a long stretch there, and I was about to get fired from the Forest Service too, and I was about to do like my worst year ever. Was the year before I got sober, and I thought they were going to shoot me, and I was like, well, that's that. Like, that's that. I'm done. And I was okay with it, because it was a weird thing, because I wanted to die all the time, you know, but I didn't want to hurt my mom, like, because my dad died when I was a kid, and it was just me and my mom, and I didn't want her to have to go through the death of her husband and the death of her son.
Right.
So I was only staying alive for her. But like, I was like, man, if I get murdered out here, that's whatever, you know, like that's how it goes. They're not going to find me. And, but obviously, yeah, he didn't shoot me, man. And I just started walking. Right. And, the highway follows the river out there. And I knew to take a right at the end of the driveway.
Right.
And I just went along the river on the highway and just walked and walked and walked. And then I realized that I was in trouble, because I had jeans and a t-shirt on, and it was cold, and it was getting colder, and the wind was blowing. And man, I started getting cold, like stupid cold. And there was no cars, no nothing. I'm on the highway, and it got weird. Like my hands were numb. I was trying to keep my hands in my armpits, and like kind of like trying to walk and curl up in a ball at the same time. My feet got real cold. And then I started having weird mental stuff, because I was drunk still, obviously. But then also I started having like some hallucinations and things like that. And then there was minutes where like I couldn't tell if my feet were warm or cold. You know what I'm saying? You ever have that?
Yeah, I do.
But I was like I had this distinct realization. I was like, man, I'm going to freeze to death. Like I can't stop moving. Like I got to go. So I even started trying to walk a little bit faster, but the wind was bad. And then and I could see that the sun was coming up, but because the mountains are right there by the side of the road, I couldn't get in the sun. It's like the mountains were blocking the sunlight. And I went to a really weird place, man. Like I was paranoid. I was like having visual and auditory hallucinations, and not like hallucinations that you'd have on like LSD or like things like that. It was like really scary stuff. And then, finally I hit a spot where in the distance, I could see that the sunlight was hitting the road, and I ran up to where the sunlight was, and I curled up in a ball, and I fell into the ditch. And I just laid in the ditch. And while I was curled up in a ball, I realized that my body was getting warmer faster than it was getting colder. And that I was going to like live. And it was the weirdest thing, because what weirds me out about this moment is that when they were going to shoot me, I was like, whatever, here it comes. Like, that's it. That's a wrap on Big Sam Miller.
Right.
But I wanted so bad not to freeze to death. So anyway, I'm curled up in a ball on the side of the road. Finally, I hear a car coming. I pop up out of the ditch, put my thumb up, like waving with the thumb up, everything. And the guy stops, and he goes, I saw you lying in that ditch there. I figured you needed a ride, you know, and he took me into town, back to Republic. And I went to work. By the time I got into town, it was like 6 o'clock in the morning, something like that.
Yeah.
I had time to drink a cup of coffee, and then off I went to work with Daryl. And, I'll end the story like this. Daryl, he asked me, he goes, because he knew that I left with that girl, and he asked me, he said, how'd it go with that girl last night? And I said, well, it went okay. Nothing happened. And, so I've been sober 13 years now, and I didn't tell anybody about that. So I was like 3 or 4 years sober. What's weird is that for my first year or two sober, I didn't even really think about it or remember it that much at all.
Right.
There's like that, and there's like a couple other things that happened. So yeah, that's my story, man.
So wait, did you like block it out like it was like a repressed memory, or you just didn't feel like it was significant enough to discover until later in
I
life?
just rather think of other stuff. You know,
Yeah.
like, I like it now. Like I like the fact telling a story like that makes me feel really alive now, and a lot of times remembering things like that makes me feel really grateful.
Mhm.
There's some stories that I have that are like that I don't really like telling,
Mhm.
and that people don't like hearing that much. That's actually one of the better ones. A lot of my stories about drugs, alcohol, homelessness, and incarceration are not really fun stories to hear.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they're not fun stories to tell. A lot of them, most of my drinking and using was very boring. You know,
Mhm.
it was me just trying to sustain myself. You know, so
Right. So I have a few questions for you. The first question being, why did you go back to her place instead of yours?
I lived in a bunkhouse, a Forest Service bunkhouse.
I see.
So I had like roommates and stuff like that.
Understood. And so did you have a car like at the bar, or did you? So she drove you in her car,
Mm-hmm.
and you were in the passenger side, and she had taken the keys out, I assume.
Yeah, she must have. I don't even know. I don't know. You know,
The reason why I'm asking is because you mentioned that, you know, they came closer and you got out of the car. So I'm thinking, like, why didn't you just use her car to drive off?
yeah, those are yeah.
Yeah.
It's
No, I
not,
mean-
it's not happening. It's not like you're talking. Your questions are very valid. However, they are not in the realm of. They're not in the realm of that situation.
No.
When you're in it.
Yeah.
No.
You're not thinking.
Yeah, there's thinking, and maybe, you know what's weird, in a weird way, maybe you're thinking faster than you've ever thought before.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I was okay with them ending me. However, I wasn't gonna push it. Like, I wasn't gonna and if I would have tried to jump over to the driver's side with them like 15, 20 feet away in a car, when I was sitting on the passenger side, they would have had ample time to run up on me, pull me out of that car, and shoot me. So
Fair enough. Why do you think ultimately they didn't shoot you?
I don't know. Maybe she told him not to. I don't know what situation that young woman was in. I think they might have put her up to it. It seems like something they had done before. Let me ask you a question. Do you come from like a religious family?
I do.
Okay, so what they did, that's a bait and switch. That's like a biblical hustle. That's like the oldest hustle in the book. Is like there's a history to that. Like there have been people being robbed because they're trying to seek the pleasures of a woman. And they let that get in the way of their better sense.
Right.
You know, that's been going on for forever. You know, maybe if they say that like sex work is the world's oldest profession, and a bait and switch is probably the world's oldest hustle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you're saying Moses was pulling out bait and switches back in the day, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
That's what I'm hearing.
Moses was probably chasing goose too, man.
Yeah. He didn't part the Red Sea. He was just walking over a fruit punch and you didn't notice. I get it.
Yeah, he got robbed right before he parted the Red Sea. That's the only way he could get back.
Yeah. No, I understand. That's fair. Okay. So now, I get that the guy saw that you were lying in a ditch, right? But
Yeah.
I'm wondering, what encouraged him to pick you up? I mean, you live in the state of Washington. Can we talk about how many serial killers live here?
Yeah. Well, it's different out there, man. It's different out there. And also, he knew that I was in trouble too. This wasn't this wasn't a situation where like somebody was like pretending that they were freezing to death. Like, I was out there in a t-shirt and jeans.
Mm-hmm.
It was obvious that I was really cold. And also, that's a small town. And honestly, he'd probably seen me around
Okay.
public. It's not like I was really hiding. I made a lot of noise around there, you know? Yeah. I had no doubt that he was going to pick me up or at least go into town and tell somebody else to come get me, tell the sheriff or something. I don't know.
Right. I mean, yeah, and the reason why I'm asking you these things is because if you don't know the culture or the area, it's hard to envision or fully understand why it happened. So I'm glad that you were able to expand on it.
Yeah, it's a weird place out there. Republic is in that area of the state, like there's a lot of hardworking like country folk, like with kind of like a that are pretty like far right leaning, far right folks.
Yeah.
But then there's also like weird hippies and like outlaw bikers and stuff like that. Like that's a big part of the culture there, especially in Okanagan, is there's a lot of people out there that just want to be left alone. There's people out there that there's roads you don't go down because they'll shoot. Like that's just what they do,
Right.
There's a place called Cougar Canyon where there was like actually a shootout with some sheriffs out there, and they know there's people out there that don't pay taxes. It's not quite sure who owns the land, stuff like that. Yeah, it's wild out there, man.
That is crazy. Now, before we go any further, Sam, let me say the stage is yours again. Go ahead and retell us your story.
Okay. So it was opening day of hunting season, and I was at the bar. And my friend Daryl was there. And Daryl was from Malibu. And he was a model. And I was a model too back then. It was really great. And we were at this cool model party in Republic. I looked behind me and Daryl was like, "You got to feel this. This is awesome. Look." And I turned around and there was a beautiful woman and she was reading Daryl a poem. And I was really excited because Daryl, outside of being a model, he was a great poet too.
I see.
I know it's a beautiful story. So I went back there and she was like, "Do you want to hear a poem?" And I was like, "God, yes, please." Because Lord knows that I love poetry so much. So she read me a poem and it was about like seasons changing or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some like poem stuff.
Yeah.
And I looked into her eyes and she looked into mine and she goes, "Hey, why don't we get out of here?" And I was like, "Sure, let's do that." So we got into her car, and I remember all of this very well because I had only had one IPA. We got into her Mercedes, actually. It was a Mercedes.
Oh, I see. So she was fancy.
Black, all leather, heated seats.
Ooh. And
she goes, "Hey, we're going to go back to my place." And it was cool because we drove the opposite direction of the Colville Reservation. Calmed me down quite a lot because there's some crazy stuff that goes out.
Oh, yeah, I've heard.
Colville. So we went to her ranch where she bred those white dancing horses that Mitt Romney's wife had. What are they called?
I have no idea. I've never heard this.
She had dancing horses. And we were driving up her driveway and all the horses, they were dancing for us as we came up. And I'd never seen a horse dance. So we got up to her house and she goes, "Wait a minute, I'll be right back." And I was like, "What the heck?" Like, I thought we were at your house. She goes, No, this is my guest house. And she went in there, right? And she came back out and she had a piece of paper. And I was like, "Oh, what's on that paper?" And she was like, "This is a stock certificate for this new company called Amazon." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I've never heard of it. Like, is it any good?" And she was like, "I don't know, not yet. But I'm in at the ground floor, and I know you seem like a man who appreciates beautiful things." And I was like, I am a man who appreciates beautiful things, and you're a beautiful poet. And I'm glad that we're at your dancing horse ranch. And she goes, well, here, let's go inside. And we went inside, and she immediately, this is where it gets kind of dirty.
Mm-hmm.
She covered herself in peanut butter. But she didn't know that I'm like the opposite of allergic to peanut butter. Like, I don't know what you call the opposite. It's a fetish. That's what it is.
A dog?
It's a fetish. And then she handed me a jar, and I was like, what's this? And she goes, that's jelly. And I was like, what do you want me to do with this? And she's like, you know what to do. And I did. And then I put the jelly all over me. And her bed was actually, she had 2 mattresses, and they were both had sheet sets that made them look like pieces of bread.
I see.
And we went between the mattresses, and I was peanut butter. No, I was jelly and she was peanut butter. And that's when I entered her. But yeah, we wound up falling in love and getting married. And my son, Aguilar, just won a Nobel Prize for love. So, yeah, that's my story.
I have questions. So many questions. All right, let's see. Where should we start? Okay, let's start here. Why did she bring the stock certificate outside to you if you were going to come in anyway?
Because we were at her guest house.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. You don't know how this stuff works.
No, clearly. I don't have people with guest house.
Stock, guest house, ranch, dancing horse stuff.
No. Of course not. Okay, that's all.
That was a stupid question, Juan Carlos.
No, you're right. I apologize. It was pretty dumb. Second question. So, if she was reading a poem, why was your buddy saying, "Hey, you got to feel this"? What were you feeling the second time?
No. He was feeling it in his heart.
Oh, I see.
Words.
I see. You just got to feel these emotions.
Yeah, he was like, "You got to feel this," and he wiped a tear away.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Daryl loves poetry. People don't know that about Daryl. They think he's just some redneck from Yakima.
Yeah, no, I see. I noticed that in your retelling of the story, you left the man without purpose. This poor man who was driving looking for someone to save now had no one to save. Can we discuss why that is?
Oh, I'm the guy?
Yeah.
Who picked me up? Well, yeah. Things went way differently, and I actually met him the next day.
I see.
I was drinking coffee with her the next day. Before we went back to the ranch and had more sex. And he was like, this guy, he walked by and he was like, "Sam, how you doing?" And I was like, "I'm very warm."
Which is totally normal.
Yeah, I was like, I can feel all my body parts.
Totally normal out of context, right? Like,
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It'll be warm.
Randomly go up to people. I am very warm. Okay, got it.
Like, I'm not cold right now.
Yeah, I need you to understand that, sir. All right. That's fair. So, in this retelling, does she not have a tooth coming out of the top of her mouth at all?
No. Well, she might have. I don't know. Because I didn't put my finger in there.
Right. So,
did I do a good? I think I tried to stick to mostly the story, but I just wanted to make it very beautiful.
No, I love this retelling. It is it is very weird.
Yeah. That is really like a thing that I would love to do.
Yeah.
Like all that stuff. Yeah. If a girl brought me home and like put peanut butter on me, I'm like, yeah, let's do this. Like, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I guess I'd want to make more of a fluffer nutter, but that's just me.
Yeah. Well, wait 6 minutes.
That's gross.
Be flipping nuts all over the
Oh my god. I meant marshmallows over jelly, but
Yeah,
I see
that's
what you
what I'm
did
talking
there. Yeah, sure. Marshmallows over jelly. No. Wow. Okay, I understand. No. That's okay. That's hilarious. I very well done. I will say very, very well done. So before I let you go, we have a few traditions on this podcast. The first is we like to highlight a charity or an organization that is important to our guests. Do you have one for us?
For sure. Interfaith Works in Olympia. They're the homies.
Tell me a little bit about them.
Interfaith Works is a group, a nonprofit here in Olympia that runs. They just opened up a brand new shelter for unhoused folks. They do a lot of low barrier housing, and they do permanent supportive housing for some folks too. Mm-hmm. They run emergency shelters, cold weather shelters. They also support a lot of other organizations too. And I am grateful for them. And I also know the people that run that organization really well. And I'm not saying that like, well, I'm just trying to help out my friends. What's dope is I know them, and I know that they don't waste a cent on anything. They're extremely, a lot of the folks that work there and a lot of the folks that are even higher up in the organization were homeless at some point too. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
The second tradition that we have on this podcast is we like to ask our guests to share a quick childhood story that puts a smile on their face.
Oh my God, I got one in the chamber, actually. I was thinking about this the other day. My dad, like, he had his issues and stuff like that, but he was pretty funny too, in like a cruel kind of way. And when I was a kid, we spent a lot of time fishing and stuff like that, and we spent a lot of time at the lake. And I remember I was swimming at this lake one time, and there was a dock, and my dad told me that if I ran fast enough that I could run across the top of the water with the lizards. And so I was like, really? Like, I got all excited. I was like, I'm going to try, you know? Mm-hmm. And so I ran off the end of the dock and tried to run on top of the water. And obviously, like, I ate it pretty hard and like slammed my face in the water. And then I got back up, and my dad was like, no, you got to like run faster than that.
Did you try it again?
Yeah, I did. No, that was it. And that, to me, I like that story because it says a lot about my dad. And it also says a lot about me. I'm like, oh yeah, obviously I didn't run fast enough.
That's hilarious, honestly. Listen, Sam, I want to say the last thing is before I let you go is, do you have any last words for our revisionaries?
No, this was a really dope experience. And if you're listening to this podcast, you probably like dope, beautiful things. And Juan Carlos, it was, I know you're from around, but it was really cool having this experience with you.
No,
I actually had a really good time. I don't know what I'm walking into in podcasts, honestly. Like,
sure,
I knew kind of like what the format was, but I got to say, man, I really enjoyed this. So.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I was going to say, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here. I think that what I've enjoyed most about you is that I've had a lot of guests who are open and honest and candid, but you are very open and honest and candid about your experiences in a way that is very refreshing because you don't speak about them as regrets. It seems like you've come a long way and accepting that they're just a part of the fabric of what made you today and that you've grown from those experiences, and that really comes across. And I think there's a level of maturity that comes with that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. I'm trying to do that lately when people say nice things to me. I'm like, thank you. That was really nice, man. Yeah, I get to live a lot of this comes with, and you know, I'm just going to say this, and maybe this will bum some people out, but like a lot of this is like, it's a privilege to be able to tell these stories. And the reason I was able to get out of some of the situations I was in was also privilege, honestly. Like I grew up in a middle-class home, and when I was ready to get off the streets, I had a place to go. A lot of people don't have that. And don't get me wrong, I worked hard, but also I got lucky and maybe less too. So
No, and look, I appreciate that self-awareness. I think that's what I'm saying. I think that's what makes you you. And there's a sense of maturity that comes along with that, and a lot of personal growth to be able to recognize those, those influences and factors in our lives and how they differentiate that. And that's what I'm, admiring and appreciating about you.
Thank you, Juan Carlos. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Well, with that being said, where can the Revisionaries follow you?
SamMillerComedy.com, on Instagram, Sam Miller Comedian. If you just Google Sam Miller Comedy on my website, will lead you to all that stuff. Yeah, come see me do comedy. And if you come see me do comedy and you like this story, say what's up to me after the show. I don't care if you buy t-shirts or not. I really don't. I like it when people buy t-shirts. But I love it when people say, hey, I heard you on this. And that makes me happy. So, yeah, I love talking to people.
So you guys heard it here first. Just come tell them you heard them on the Revisionary podcast. Well, with that being said, Sam, thank you and enjoy the rest of your time. Have a wonderful day.
All right. Adios, Juan Carlos.
The Revisionary Podcast.
So I think that that's an interesting story. And what I thought was really interesting, and I think I kind of said this, is that I feel like Sam's very introspective and he is willing to talk about these dark, times in his life. And he talks about it with this positive energy, and I've actually always respected that about Sam. If you've ever seen him do stand-up, he kind of does a lot of the similar stuff. He talks about these dark moments in his life, but he's able to put a positive spin to it. He's a very, very talented individual. He's very, very kind. So I've really enjoyed talking to him. And I like that his twist was kind of silly. You know what I mean? I always like the silly ones because it shows that he doesn't take himself terribly serious. I didn't expect it to get as graphic as it did, but that's that on that. I mean, I guess what else am I going to say? I hope he walks out of here with a Jiffy sponsorship or something for his troubles. But I want to say thank you to all of you for listening day in and day out. And I look forward to releasing more content for you guys throughout 2022.
This is the